And you know, he's kind of guy that when he's in the ring, he doesn't do anything. It's you or him. That's the way he sees it, and that's the way he fights. Now, Tank Davis, who is known as a KO guy, as a stoppage guy, but is also just very skilled fighter. He's not just a guy that to me relies on his power. Like he could very easily to me win this fight on decision. I think that if Marinez was able, in my eyes, to win the fight against Romero on decision, not get it officially, but to me, I thought he did enough. Davis will be able to do that. Now, while saying that about Davis, it's not saying that his defensively he is 100% secure like Floyd Mayweather, right? He's not like that. His guard is very questionable. He makes a lot of mistakes. He gets lazy with it. He's always kind of looking for his offense. Now he does have the legs to move around and keep the spacing if he needs to, and he's very balanced with his movement, so that allows him not only to be able to punch going backwards, set up shots, but just able to get out of range in like multiple steps. And even if you're following him or chasing him, he would be able to keep the distance, and especially because you're not gonna want to walk into things. I don't know if that's a strategy. He hasn't really fought consistently with that strategy. You've seen it a little bit in the Isaac Cruz fight, but Isaac Cruz, he hurt his hand in the Isaac Cruz fight, so I think he had a fight like that. But you've seen the ability of him to be a tactical boxer and pick his shots a lot more and set up his shots and walk guys into shots. I also seen it in the Barrios fight, like how creative he was with his offense and the points where he boxed in that fight as well. He's capable of doing that. Now, consistently, that's going to be more of a mentality thing, right? That's more is it in his mentality to box like that? Sorry, make sure microphone's plugged in because I could be just talking to nothing right now with no volume. So I just wanted to make sure our mic was plugged in. But is he have the mentality to be able to stay consistently boxing like that, or is he offensive minded? Is he too offensive minded to really ever switch from that style? And in this fight, does he go in there looking to really put it on Rollie Romero? A lot of people have been using the Floyd Mayweather versus Troll as an example for a lot of the fights for the guys at 135, especially like Haney are gonna fight Cambosos, Shakur versus Valdez, and that's at 130. But those are examples used because people want to see that. That's like like you're stepping into that next level, and this is how you're gonna do it. This is how impressive, how dominant it's gonna be. Now, I don't think I don't think Shakur really lived up to the performance of like Floyd versus Gotti in that fight. Now, even though it was a picture perfect fight, I think people thought he was gonna put it on Valdez a lot more. I think people are really expecting that versus Davis versus Romero, and people are expecting that versus Haney versus Cambosos. So this is their situation they're in. Now, I don't think Romero is as good as Cambosos. I personally do not think that. Now, I've had people tell me that they thought Romero would beat Cambosos, right? But this was before Cambosos beat Tiafimo. So they weren't high on Cambosos at all. I don't know if their opinions changed now seeing him fight Tiafimo. But I think people are expecting these kind of performances. I think it's possible that Davis could really do that to Romero. I think that Romero is he's got a very interesting style. He does have some power, thudding shots, but I don't think he has the kind of power where he touches you, go to sleep. I don't think he has that at all. I think he does have thudding shots, and he does have some pop to him, but I don't think he's not one punch. He's not if he touches like I said, if he touches you, go to sleep, or he could graze you and hurt you. I don't believe he has that at all. So he has thudding shots. I think Davis would be able to stand in there with him, and his offense would just be too sharp. And Romero, often gets off of balance off one of his big shots. He often, I'm not gonna say hasn't gotten more skilled recently because he has. He has gotten more crafty with applying his skill, and it's not like he's become, to me, not like technically better, but he's learning the trade, I guess I would say. And the way he's applying it maybe is smarter than he was doing it before. Now, like his punches aren't technically getting better, his movements aren't technically getting better, but just the way he's applying his game, he's smarter in the ring than he ever was. I'll give him that. Still, he's unbalanced. Still, he misses big. Still, he moves straight back. Still, he puts his chin in the air. Um, Still, he loses himself going backwards. He still swings and leans too forward and loses balance. He does all these things. And a guy like Davis, you can't really do those things, right? You can't because he's so balanced that even if he misses, has enough. His legs are always in place for another shot. Or if you miss, he's always in place to make you pay for a shot. So if they get to a part where they're exchanging, Davis is going to win that. To me, by devastating fashion because of just his balance. And to me, like if I watch a boxer and when I want to know how skilled he really is, right, and or if I want to make like if I was a scout right now, scouting talent for promotion, what things I would look for, it'd be balance. Balance would be very important to me, and the control of distance. I think if you had those two things and you just kind of went off of that when just scouting guys sparring or hitting pads or the back, I think you would hit way more than you would miss. Because those are two, very hard things to learn, very hard things to teach, and sometimes a guy just has it naturally, and he could really expand on that as he goes on. Davis has that naturally. He is one of the more balanced guys when it comes to his offense, his leg movement. He is so balanced. He rarely is off balance, and he's always in position to make you pay. And he could always get full speed into a shot, full power into a shot, and he could always work off of another shot. Romero's not the kind of guy that could chain things together. He's not going to do that. Okay, he's gonna maybe hit you with the 1-2. He'll swing big and miss, and then fall off and have to reset. Davis is not going to do that. He could work off of things. He could build things. He could miss, and that miss could be setting up something else. Everything will continue to flow. That's where he'll really stand out with him, Romero. Especially as they say, like class proves over time. That's what to me, if you go multiple rounds in this fight, to me, Davis is just gonna look superior. Like if he doesn't get him out early, he's gonna look really superior to him a third and fourth and fifth round, where it just doesn't look like Romero has a chance. Maybe that's where Romero starts getting dirty or trying to rough up Davis, possibly. But I think you're gonna be very surprised on like the strength in this fight and the how much Davis has just because of his balance. I think that people are thinking that Romero's gonna be way stronger than him and waiting to push him around. I don't really see that because at what point is Davis gonna not be in position for whatever Romero's gonna do, right? He's gonna probably push him. What point is Davis not gonna be in position? I don't think it works that way. I think that's what people are surprised, and maybe this is a good comp at because of that point of Shane Mosley's career versus Floyd Mayweather. But Shane Mosley was very off balance in that fight, and actually Floyd Mayweather looked a lot stronger in that fight. He was actually able to push around Shane in a way because Shane was off balance and Floyd was balanced. He was set. He was had his full strength of his legs underneath him. I think this fight could actually look a lot like that. What Romero would need is that round where Shane rocks Floyd Mayweather. He would need that kind of round in this fight. That's what he's kind of hoping for. I don't think he can win a decision in this fight. I don't think there's a chance on that. He would have to kind of land on Davis, and to me, have to land early to do to really have a chance of winning this fight. I think that I don't think Romero is the kind of guy that gets tired or his game's going to change too differently from the first to the 12th by exhaustion, but maybe by damage that by Davis is able to do in this fight. That might change it. I'm going to clearly, as you can tell, with the breakdowns fight, I'm picking Davis. I think Davis could outbox him 12 rounds. It'd be easy shutout. I don't think that's in Davis' mentality. I don't think it's in this fight because I think he thinks he's so superior to Romero, and I believe he is. I think he goes for the stoppage. Now, I think it's not like he's going to come out swinging in the first and second round, but I think he will stay in range. He will be very comfortable letting Romero, trying to look for stuff and working off of that. And then when he starts seeing the Romero's off balance and those openings, and he sees them for like the second, third, fourth round, I think he lands a big left and puts Romero out. I wouldn't be surprised if it's a kind of a sweeping left hand when Romero's kind of backing up and loses his position, has to reset and sets back up. And also, Paige Romero dips over. He might get set up for a left uppercut. They'll put him down. I do expect Davis to win this fight in the stoppage in devastating fashion and to just really look superior to Romero. Remember, Isaac Cruz, I thought he was going to look superior to him in multiple fashion in a big way. He won the fight. I thought he clearly won the fight. I didn't think it was close as everybody thought, but people did think it was a competitive fight, maybe more competitive than it was anyone thought it was going to be, or maybe, to me more than it should be. But that could be because Davis hurt his hand, or didn't respect him in the first few rounds, and then kind of had to box his way through it. I think another performance like that, maybe we start looking at Davis a little bit different. I think especially against Rollie Romero. I don't expect that though. I expect him to look very sharp in this fight. One of his more devastating performances in a while against Rolling. That's what I'm expecting. I'm picking Davis. I'll say fourth round stoppage. On the undercard, we have Ersanli. Arasat. I say Arasat Lara's name all the time, but right now I'm gonna get all tongue tied with it. And Gary Spike O'Sullivan at a middleweight title for the WBA regular middleweight title. Um, this is Lara's move to middleweight. The last one he did, he got devastating knockout of Cornflake in the and that's not a derogatory term that I'm using here. That's really the man's nickname. Uh, in the first round, and Spikes O'Sullivan, who is definitely seen not his best days of fighting anymore, but it's a guy that is gonna come forward, not gonna add too many different looks. He's kind of just gonna look to come forward and get to work. And Lara, at this point, who doesn't really have his legs anymore, still has the balance and still can do some defensive things with his legs when he needs to, but he's not going to be able to move around the ring the whole time. And he's definitely relying more on his timing and power more than ever before. So he's definitely way more entertaining. And a guy like Sullivan could really make him look very entertaining and very devastating. I think this could be a very entertaining fight. And it's kind of what I've been preaching on about these undercards. You kind of just have to set your guys up to look good. I think this is setting Lara up to look good. Now Lara is getting older. Lara's, I believe, in his 40s, or if he's not, he's like high 30s. So he could just get old overnight, but O'Sullivan's like 37, so he could just get old overnight. I think this sets up Lara to look good, and maybe sets up a Charlo fight in the future, or just have another guy that they can have at middleweight. That everyone's kind of looking for a middleweight for their middleweight, so maybe this will be a future Charlo opponent, Lara, if Canelo doesn't come next year. The fight before that, we have Jesus Rommels versus Luke Santamaria. Santamaria just beat Jesus Rommels' cousin, I believe, in Abel Rommels. It's either his cousin or not, his uncle. I don't remember which one specifically, but he beat him at 147 pounds. Now he will be moving up to fight Jesus Rommels at 154. Jesus Rommels, who is, one of the bigger prospects that PBC has right now, and especially at the weight division they have him at, with Jermell Charlo there, Fondora, Zoo, Harrison. There's a lot of fights, big names for him. I don't know if he's ready 100% for that level yet. He's showing glimpses of greatness, right? But he's also, I still think that in the last fight he was kind of showing that he was still trying to figure out some stuff about his style. He was trying to be a little more slick last fight. I didn't think it was as effective. I do think that in a fight like this versus Santamaria, where he's Ramos is really superior than Santamaria in a lot of facets of his game. But if he did try to get slick with Santamaria is the kind of guy that's crafty enough to beat him in that game. I don't think that that's the kind of game that Jesus Ramos wants to fight in this. I think he got to go back to more of a pressure style, using his length, but using the one I always use is distance, like pressure by crowding Santamaria's distance, making him work, making him move. I think that would be what he has to do. If he tries to get too cute with Santamaria kind of plays that game. Now, Santamaria is not the best at creating his little offense, but he's pretty good at working off of the offense that you give him. But I still think Jesus Ramos, that strategy he should be going on is putting it on Santamaria, because I don't think Santamaria hits hard. I think he especially doesn't hit hard probably at 154. He's only fought 154 a few times. He just came at 147, which was probably his best performance, but he was still rocked in that fight. So I expect him to be rocked in this fight. Santamaria is good defensively. He knows what he's doing. He has a good feel for fighting, good feel for defense. He switches, he does a lot of good things, but sometimes he tries to get too cute, and he doesn't have the physical, gifts to be where like a Pernell Whitaker, where it's impossible to hit him because his upper body movement is so fast, and he's seeing everything. He doesn't see everything. He's slick, he has a good feel, but they're still there to be hit. His guard, when he forgets it on the inside, he allows little openings. Now, there's points where he's truly focused on it, but when he's truly focused on defense, there's not a lot of offense coming. So I expect Jesus Ramos to pressure Santamaria. I think Santamaria will be maybe competitive early, but fall apart late. And I'm going to take Jesus Ramos to get a stoppage in this fight. And by breaking down Santamaria, right? Remember, Santamaria is moving up in weight. And like I said, he has success 147. He's fought at 154 before, but I think this will be a little bit too much to bite off. On the first fight of the opening, and this might be the best fight, is Eduardo Ramirez versus Luis Mendez. Now, Luis Mendez won a controversial fight the last time out, but is skilled, is very skilled, likes to fight at his own pace. Feels comfortable in the ring. He never kind of seems rushed or panicked or just very calm. Smooth boxer, likes to pick his shots. Now, when you have a Walter Ramirez, who kind of the opposite as far as fighting his own pace, his own pace is just putting pressure on you, and he's very loose with his offense. He doesn't have to think too much about his offense. It just arms just kind of flow, and he's kind of creating the where he wants to place them as he's throwing them or how he's throwing them, and he has power in his hands, but he is moving up in weight. And Luis Mendez is kind of a big guy at super featherweight. He's fought at 135 before, so he's a decent sized guy, but I don't think he has great power. But it's just how much is Eduardo Ramirez going to need to depend on his power, right, to be effective in this fight? And if he can't hurt Luis Mendez, and Luis Mendez could at points just you know can box, and he is good defensively, and he's um if he's not worried about what's coming at him and he can stay in the pocket and pick his shots, I wonder at some points, does Eduardo Ramirez does he? Luis Mendez is not the hardest hitting guy at super featherweight, but of course, Eduardo Ramirez is not the biggest guy at 135 at 130. So maybe he will feel Luis Mendez's shots. Now, Eduardo Ramirez, will he just outwork Melendez, who likes to really pick his shots and work at his pace? Is there a chance that Eduardo Ramirez is just able to outwork him in this fight? Just too much offense. I think this is a very intriguing matchup. I'm going to go with Eduardo Ramirez to outwork Luis Mendez in this fight, and I thought, Luis Mendez did seem to get a kind of a favorable decision last one that he probably, was a much closer fight and could have been argued that he lost it late. I think Ramirez, with his style, he's not the kind of guy to get robbed if he wins the fight because it's so offensive. It's like what the judges really would want to score for. And let's see if his power carries. Let's see if his power is as devastating as it was in the lower weights in this weight. He's been on a heck of a run. And I think this is a very intriguing matchup. And I want to see if Luis Mendez is maybe able to pick up the pace or, show another step because to me, I think he has a lot of abilities, but it's just that extra, get his engine going a little bit. A lot of times, like even like NBA drafts or, people scout and they say like this guy has like a, low motor, right? He has doesn't like, it's not that most activity and works as spurts. That to me is like a big warning sign, and you see a lot of guys flame out in the NBA when they have that because that's what you need to be great. Sometimes you these guys fight at such a high level, and they're constantly doing something, and you constantly have to be able to respond. If you can't do that, and that's just like a mental block or it's just something physically you can't do, to me that's a big hole in your game. So we're gonna see with Luis Mendez if he just that was the last fight that he just for some reason couldn't fight at a consistent pace, or versus Eduardo Ramirez, he's able to pick it up and do what he needs to do to not let Eduardo Ramirez just outwork him in the ring. That's this card this weekend. It's I think it's very good chances it's a very entertaining card. Now I don't know if it's the most competitive, or I don't know that the opponents are the highest level for the A side. I don't think so. They're not. Besides the first fight, most of the opponents here are very overmatched, even in the main event. But I think it's the way it's matched up, and it's what I've kind of been saying is you kind of put a guy in that besides Santa Maria, right? Lara should look very good in his performance. Gervonta Davis should look very good in his performance, and it should end in devastating fashion in both fights, in my opinion. I don't think people are going to complain when fights end in massive knockouts, no matter how one-sided the opponent is. I don't think people complain about that. Like if you look at um what's her the female fighter for Golden Boy. I can't even think of her name right now. Well, anyways, she has a fight like where she fought a lady that was clearly not a legit boxer, and she knocked her out in the first round. That's the highlight they show every time she fights. Every time she fights, that's the highlight they show. Okay, so I don't think people really care. They don't really ask so many questions when they see a devastating knockout. That's just the way it is. Now there was rumors of Tank leaving the money team after this fight, and there weren't rumors. It was things that he said. What I mean, he said he thought this was the last time he was going to fight for the money team. Now I think what this turned out to be was negotiations and him putting pressure on the money team to come and make a great offer to keep him, and offer where it was obviously more money, right? He did have complaints about not fighting the best guys in the weight class. I think if he goes back to the mighty team, which it kind of seemed like he was saying today he was going to do, I don't think that he's not going to get the Haneys or Lomachenkos or Cambosos or whoever wins this fight, Tiafimos. He's not going to get those guys. It's just I don't think that's going to happen. I don't think that's in the cards. But they do TMC with along with PBC do have Isak Cruz lined up for him. Ali Rivera, Valenzuela, like they are building guys for him, and 140 stacked for them as well. And if he really wants to go 147, that's about to be wide open if Crawford and Spence fight each other and then move up. So there is a plan that they could lay out where he ends up, fighting the guys I mentioned. Eventually, a fight with Keith Thurman, whoever's the champ at 140. There's also interesting fights there. There's a pathway for him not only to get good fights, profitable fights, but also fights that can move him up. People, move up his resume and his legacy and make him a Hall of Famer. Those fights are there. They could put something together to make him get him very credible wins, very notable wins. So, is he going to get the guys at his weight class? One of the four kings? Most likely not. I don't think so. No. If he stays with the mighty team and PBC, but I still think there's still great fights for him there. I think there's a lot of competition for him there, and the guys that you think are in his competition could those things shift very quickly. Okay, when Jermell Charlo was coming up, it was always heard that was the guy, right? That he was going to be that was the matchup for him. They never fought each other. Jermell just had his biggest fight against Castano in a rematch. No one was talking about Castano at that time. You don't know how this is going to play out. It's ever shifting. These divisions, the competition, everything, it's ever shifting. PBC has a lot of names, and they built 140 perfectly. They're building 147. They'll rebuild it if they need to. And they finally have some opponents for at 135. So him leaving, not really the money team. He could leave the money team and stay with PBC, but him leaving the PBC right now, it's after they took the time to build these three guys and have these other guys. It's not saying that him going to Top Rank wouldn't be like, wouldn't have a lot more options. I guess maybe the notable names at 135, but to me, they have enough options where they're at, and another above weights really, to me, is the cherry on top with it. That he could just stay there, be the money man, be the big name, be the guy that they build around, and build these opponents for you. And however long you can stay dominant and winning, they'll constantly be looking for the next big name for you. I think that's a really good spot to be in. So I can't blame him for not leaving. I think it was just a negotiation thing where he says, I'm going to leave. I'm done here. They don't appreciate me. That Floyd Mayweather, is promoting his own card, which was still kind of weird. I mean, let's not get past that. Let's not try to brush down the rug that Floyd Mayweather kind of was promoting his own card when Tank was fighting. They've done very little promotion for Tank in this fight, if we're going to be honest. I don't even know if it's on Floyd. It wasn't on Floyd Mayweather's Instagram for this whole time. I don't know if it is now. So, I'm not really can't get past how that was kind of done pretty poorly. And it does seem like there was actual beef there, but maybe they worked it out money wise because that's how these things usually work out. Talking about the 135-pound division, Tank took some shots at Devin Haney, called him the email champ, which is a term that I think was created on boxing Twitter. So, these little expressions that we say on boxing Twitter and everything, the fighters are hearing them, and now they're starting to be used in the mainstream. Now, say what you want about Haney, and I don't think if I had to pick who's going to come out the best guy at 135, and I had to rank him, Haney's not in my top two. He just isn't. I think that he looks like he has a lot of abilities and could, if he could put them all together, he'd be something special. He doesn't have any power. Okay, I'm just he doesn't have any power. His performances are not consistent. But saying all that, right? His performances aren't consistent. I think that defensively, there are some flaws there. It's not a perfect defensively. He's not perfect with his defensive performances. With saying that though, last year, right? If we're doing the pre-grade for all the matchups, he had the best matchup of all the guys at 135. Of all the four kings, the main names, he had the best matchup against Jojo Diaz. Now, post-fight grade, Cambosos was the B side, so I graded only by the A side. Cambosos had the best win at 135, yes, but pre-fight grade, he had the best matchup. Now, he took second because Kambosos beat Haney, right? The upset. This year, he has the best matchup again against Kambosos, and it's better than um, Ryan versus. I honestly forgot who Ryan just fought. His name. Very Ryan than better than Ryan versus that opponent. It's gonna probably be better than Ryan. It's better than Ryan versus Fortuna. It's better than Tank versus Rollie. Lomachenko's not fighting. Haney's once again going to have the toughest matchup again pre-fight score. So I could say anything I want about Haney, what I think of his abilities or how I rate him. It doesn't matter. He's actually doing it, right? And Tank is probably going to come. Rolly Romero is, to me, even though he's no a name maybe at this point, he's not a. Like I said, I said at the beginning, he's not a great fighter. I have no. There's nothing in my mind that tells me he's a great fighter. No one can make that argument to me he's a great fighter or a great test for Tank. He just isn't, right? He's a name. So Haney is out here actually doing it. And Haney is setting himself up for, if he has to beat Kambosos and he has to beat him again, he's setting himself up for a Lomachenko fight. So there's a chance that, Haney blows everybody out the water with just the resume that he builds at 135. If he's able to get beat Jojo Diaz, Kambosos twice, and Lomachenko, and I'm not overrating Kambosos. I don't think Kambosos is the greatest fighter. I think he's a good fighter. I think that he's a little overrated now because he beat Teofimo, but he's still better than the competition that everybody's fighting. So that says about the competition that everybody else is fighting. It's not great. It honestly is not great. And to me, it seems like Haney is really making a push for the names, and it looks like he's going to possibly get Lomachenko maybe in a year or two, year and a half, right? He'll get Lomachenko. And Tank can say everything he wants, and I would pick Tank in that matchup, but he hasn't proved anything. He hasn't shown it, right? And Haney has, and Haney's taking those chances to prove it. So that's where the division is right now. Now, Ryan Garcia versus Fortuna, that's a step in a better direction for him. And he looks like that would get his career back on track where it was before he left, with possible matches with Fortuna or Linares or even Jojo Diaz. So if he could fight Fortuna and then probably go possibly fight Jojo Diaz after that, if Jojo Diaz gets a win, before they match up, that'd be that's building him in the right direction. Those are excellent matchups for him. He needs a leader in the pack, obviously. Lomachenko, the top rank, is basically funneling him undisputed chance versus Haney or Kambosos, whoever wins that fight. And Tank getting Romero out of there is, to me, not that impressive. And then he'll go fight maybe Esau Cruz again, which to me is he's only rated high because Tank allowed a competitive fight against him. Then he'll go fight Ollie Rivera, which, very questionable how high you rate him. And then Valenzuela, who people are a lot more higher on just because of what they see, and it's very impressive. And I'm not saying it isn't, but hasn't really truly beat anyone either. Like a Washington Vargas isn't really going to do to me to really solidify you. So although I think Tank is finally getting opponents at 135 that at least kind of we can at least say like, hey, this guy might make it tough for him. This guy's actually skilled. This guy can have some ability. He's not doing what Devin Haney's doing. No one's doing what Devin Haney's doing. So we have to give Devin Haney his credit at 135. To me, he's the king of it. If he can go through Kambosos, right, and as far as like resume wise, he'll be the king of it. He's the one actually beating the names at that weight, especially with Teofimo going up to 140. Now we did have an announcement for the third fight for Canelo and Triple G. I guess mixed reviews, I would say. I thought they were mostly negative, but I've seen some positive stuff about this fight. It was announced kind of quick. Obviously, this was their plan. They thought that if Canelo beat Bivol, that he'd fight Triple G, but maybe they thought even if he wins or loses that fight, it really doesn't affect this fight. And I think they're right. And I think that even the loss probably makes this fight more intriguing to people, right? They want to see what this fight's going to look like. I think that Canelo will run through Triple G at this point of his career and point of Triple G's career. But a lot of people say that maybe we're overrating Canelo because he ran through Colin Smith and Billy Joe Saunders, right? And Caleb Plant maybe is not even that good, and that allowed us to overrate where Canelo is, and we're gonna have to find out. I guess at that point, I don't think that's the case. I think Canelo is pretty good. I can see the physical improvements of his game from 154 pounds to where he is now, and I'm interested to see how those apply to slowing down Triple G. I mean, Triple G got a good win versus Murata. It might be the best win in the middleweight division this year, but he still had age to him. He still looked at points where like Murata was going to really put it on him. It looked like at points that he was really getting bothered by Murata's uh, power, and those shots were landing really flush. And I just think that if Canelo's able to land that flush that early at that rate, I mean, I don't think Triple G stands up to it. And especially 168 pounds. The reason this is not even going to be a notable win for Canelo is because it's at 168 pounds. And Triple G has never proven he can fight anywhere past 160. I think Canelo runs through Triple G this time around. If Triple G can make a fight of it, that'd be very interesting to me. I'd be very interesting of what Triple G making a fight of it would look like. I just think Canelo's just a lot fresher. He's on top of his game. I mean, even though he's coming off a loss, I think that loss had a lot to do with size. That's gonna take some time for to prove, right, if I'm right about that. But I know people don't want to give that. They think that just Bivol was too skilled. I think Canelo's king on 168. I think he proves that. I think he could further proves that in this fight. And I don't expect Canelo to get a lot of credit when this fight's over. And I'm not saying I've already said I'm not going to give him a notable win for it. And I think people are just going to be like, he fought Triple G when he's really old. That's kind of what the end result of this fight's going to be. That's going to be the headline. Is that Triple G's really old? Of course, Canelo's going to run through him. Canelo's fans are overrating him for beating old Triple G. That's probably what it is at the end of this. Going into it, I think a lot of people will say that Triple G is probably going to give him a tougher fight than what we're all saying. I'm already hearing that, so it's not like that's even me predicting that. I've already heard that a few times. I don't think so. I think Canelo's going to kill him to the body. I think he's going to be able to flurry on him. I don't think that Triple G will really even be able to touch Canelo in this fight. And I'm expecting a one-fight landslide. Now the question is, right, going after this fight is where does he go after that, right? He would have one more fight possibly with Matchroom, and that was supposed to be in December, but now they're talking about a second fight with Bivol, and they're saying that that's going to be in Cinco de Mayo next year. To me, what that sounds like, and that's just, I don't have any inside information. Sometimes I'm way off on these things, right? And I just read it wrong. But to me, that sounds like the Bivol fight's not going to happen. It sounds like the Bivol fight, Canelo's thinking about that. He's saying maybe we'll sign that on the next deal. On this one, I'm going to fight Triple G, and don't be surprised now if John Ryder's back on the table for December or January, February. Don't be surprised if John Ryder comes back on the table, and then Canelo goes back to the PBC and fights Charlo Benavidez. I think that the fact that they're even brought up that fighting Cinco de Mayo next year, makes me seem like that fight's not going to happen, and they're probably over that idea of 175 pounds. And to me, I mean, if you watch the fight, he had no power at the weight. His punches had no effect on Bivol. There's no way, as like Eddie Reynoso, who is trained at the highest level, can watch that fight and think that there's something they could do to turn this fight around if Canelo's power has zero effect on Bivol. And there's a chance that Bivol comes in way more confident in the next fight and it's like, hey, this guy can't hurt me. And I know my shot's really pushing back. Even if he blocks him, he can't really work off of it. He's not even really able to counter off it. I just have a hard time thinking that anyone else is seeing that and being like, yeah, let's go run this back again. Because I can't really see a way that Canelo wins this fight. Like I said, the only way that you could make an argument to me that Canelo would win the rematch against Bivol is if you truly believe that Canelo was off that night, that something had to do with his diet or overtrained or something like that. That's the only thing. And I'm not buying any of that. I just think he's just too small, and Bivol's too skilled. He would have to fight less skilled opponent with that kind of size advantage, right? You would have to be just far superior to them on skill, that where you could just outwork him and take point and outpoint him to a decision. Bivol's a high level fighter and he's bigger. It's just that nothing in there to me should give Canelo any confidence that he could win a rematch in this fight. And to me, saying that it could happen at Cinco de Mayo seems like that fight's not going to happen at all. Thank you guys for listening. You can hear my podcast on Spotify, Apple, basically anywhere you can find podcasts. I'm also put these on YouTube. Also, I have just the As Raw Live podcast, which is just on YouTube. And you can follow me on Twitter at As Raw Boxing, on Facebook at As Raw Boxing, and on Instagram at As Raw Boxing. Thank you guys for listening. Please subscribe, rate, review, all that good stuff. Peace.